Everybody, welcome to MeghaDiscourse, and in this video we would be discussing the most important poems, and these poems are always asked in the UGC NET English examination. So if you are preparing for any examination that is related to English literature, then you must know these 10 poems, and on the basis of this video you can prepare other poems as well. So I have included poems from the British literature, Indian literature and the world literature. So I have already made the video on drama in which I covered the 10 most important dramas. So similar to that, I have made this video on the poetry this time. So first we have this poem which is Snake. Now this is written by D.H. Lawrence. So we know that D.H. Lawrence is a writer. D.H. Lawrence is very important for his novels. But we should know that he has written poems as well. He has written almost 600 poems we should know. And UGC NET always asks the poems of D.H. Lawrence, Thomas Hardy, right? So you should know about this thing. So I have included his most famous poem. This is Snake, and this poem was published in 1923. Okay, so when it comes to poems, you should be knowing about the collection as well. So first, Birds, Bees and Flowers, 1923. So this is the name of the collection, and in this collection this poem is placed. So I hope you will remember this fact. He belonged to this modern age, modern period. First, we should know about the movement. So first we have this imagism movement. What is imagism movement? Where the focus is on the image, where the focus is on the thing, or we can say the subject, right? So this is known as imagism. Let us see how. So if there is a snake, then my focus would be on the snake only. I will not talk about anything other than this snake, not the background, not the scenery, not the other people, but only about the snake and how the snake is moving, how the snake is drinking water, what are the activities that a snake is performing, and how I am looking at the snake. So my focus would be on this image, on this subject. So this is basically the idea behind the imagism movement. And also we should know that the language in this movement is, very precise. There is an economy of language, means that we will use the words according to the need, right? We will not just use any word. We will not make it flamboyant like a Renaissance poetry. There is this writer who is Ezra Pound, who is also related to this movement. Okay, so let us just look at the summary first. So in the snake poem, what happens is that there is our speaker who is just going with a picture in his hand. Picture means a kind of a water container. So he is having a kind of water container in his hand, and he is going wearing the pajamas, and he is going to fetch the water. So when he goes there, so there is a big container of water there from which our poet has to take the water. But in that big container, which is meant for the animals to drink water, there is a snake. There is a big snake over there, and that snake is drinking water. So here our speaker is observing that snake. So there is this arrival at water trough. A snake is drinking the water very peacefully, and our speaker is observing that snake. Our poet is watching, and there is a kind of inner conflict now. There is a kind of inner conflict because he does not want to disturb that snake, because that snake is drinking water. So our poet does not want to disturb the private space of that snake. So there is a voice of education. Voice of education here means that the snake is of, the snake is of golden color. According to the people of Sicily, or we can say Italian people, if there is some golden snake, then golden snake is very, poisonous, right? And if there is a black snake, then black snake is, less poisonous than this golden snake. So this snake is golden, and according to the people, we need to kill that snake as soon as possible. So according to this voice of education, as the people have, forged this thing in the mind of the people, that if you see a golden snake, just kill it as soon as possible. So now just poet is just thinking whether I should just take a stick and kill that snake. So there is an inner conflict in the mind of this poet. But he does not do so. He admires the snake. Poet's instinct admires the snake as a lord. He says that this snake is a lord of life. This snake is like a king, because we are the people, who have there is one theme also of the colonialism in this, that we are the human beings who have just pushed these animals to the periphery, and we have taken the word. We are the center. We have built the world around us, and these snakes, the animal, they have to live far from us, on the boundaries, on the periphery, underground. So he is lord of that underworld, but not the lord of this world. Okay, so he is kind of admiring that snake, and he does not want to disturb it. Now what he do is that when the snake finally drank the water, so the snake was going back to his home, back to its home. So when he moves around, when he was climbing on the wall, the poet, what he does is that he just takes a stick in his hand and just throw at the snake, but our snake is not hit it by. The poet throws a log and snake retreats, and the snake just went away. And suddenly there is a kind of guilt and regret on the part of our speaker, that why I did so, why I tried to harm that snake, did nothing to me. And he says that I have something to expiate. Now this is a very important line, right? So here are a few lines that you need to remember. So first, he reached down from the fissure in the earth wall, right? From the fissure, or we can say the broken cracks in the wall. So he came from that, and he felt so honored, because he was the second person who, so this snake was the first person who arrived to drink the water, but our speaker is the second person to do so. Actually, here, this is the second person. So here the snake is a kind of guest, or we can say lord for the speaker. And this poet is feeling so honored by watching that snake, by observing that body which is moving, and the head that is being uplifted in order to drink that water. There is this line, I have something to expiate a pettiness. Expiate means to, repay. It is to repay. He has done something very bad, and this is the throwing of a stick towards the snake. Now he is feeling guilty, so he would just want to repay that thing, right? So a pettiness means that the act that he did, he is feeling guilty of that act. So he just want to repay for that act that he has committed, because he thinks that, like, there is this poem by Coleridge, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. So in that, what happens is that ancient mariner kills an albatross. So similarly, he feels that I have tried to kill the snake. So he just want to repay or atone that petty act, right? So there is a previous year question that asked about the identify the poet and the poem. So this is the poem, and let us just go back to this page. So here you need to remember all these things, right? So yes, this is it for the snake. And here you should know that this poem is written in a free verse. This means that there is no rhyme, there is no meter. It is very free, like a snake. It is just moving like a poem, like long flowing lines mirroring snake's movement. Like a snake, it is just moving, it is just free, and there is free verse. So there is no meter, there is no rhyme. Okay, so this is the modern poetry. You will see free verse mostly in the modern and the postmodern poetry, right? So just remember this fact. And here this snake, the snake, there is a symbolism. Here the snake, represents natural royalty. Okay, and also you should know that there are different kinds of imageries that have been used in the poems. Imageries are what? Imageries are whenever you read a poem and you read a word, so if that word creates an image in your mind, so that is imagery. There are various kinds of imageries, like we have tactile imagery, we have visual imagery, we have auditory imageries, right? For instance, we have this word which is, snake. So if I say snake, then there would be an image that will be created in your mind instantly. So that is, a visual imagery, right? So this is all about this. And I hope that you will read the poem and the actual text of this poem, and just go through the literary devices and poetic devices of the poem. Let us just do our second poem. Okay, so now we have this second poem, which is The Night of the Scorpion. So Night of the Scorpion is a poem by Nazim Ezekiel, who is also known as the, the father, right? So just remember this fact. And there are his other poems. Just remember the chronology of the Nazim Ezekiel and also the Kamla Das, okay? And also there are specific poems of Nazim that you need to remember, because they always ask about the Nazim Ezekiel works, be it his plays or his poems, right? So just remember this. So he is from the Indian writing in English, and this poem was published in the exact name. Please remember this, the exact name. Please remember this exact name, okay? So this was published in 1965, and here there is also free verse, which means there is no rhyme scheme. So yes. So when it comes to, the poem, so we know that there is an Indian village, and the mother of a boy has been, bitten by a scorpion. Now she is just lying on the floor, and there are farmers who are sitting around her, and they are hoping that she just recovers, she just heals, and the poison does not spread into her body. So they are all just hoping and praying. So village community reaction. So first there are peasants, and they are just chanting and praying from the god that please let not the woman die, right? And interpretation of scorpion as evil. So here is this scorpion. Now scorpion has been represented as a evil who is having a, diabolic tail. So if you read the actual poem, then you will see this word diabolic, which is related to the demons and monsters, satanic. So here this scorpion is a representative of evil forces, and this scorpion has bitten our mother. Now the father of this boy, he is having rationalist attempt. Well, he is very much, rational in his mind, but still he also believes in the traditional methods like using herbs and powders in order to, recover that mother. What he does is that he just takes some powder and herbs, and he just takes some paraffin, wax, and he just pour that wax on the wound of that mother, and he just burn that specific spot so that the sting gets cancelled. So this is what he does. So here there is an irony that there is a person who believes in the scientific temper, but this rationalist person is also, performing such acts by, burning the wound, by using some herbs, powder, chemicals, and all kind of magic. Mother's selfless response. Now the villager says that if the scorpion keeps moving, because there is this scorpion, because the scene was something like this, that there is this boy, and that boy was just remembering a night, and the night is very special. Why? Because his mother got, bitten by this scorpion. So there was this rainy day, and in order to protect itself from the rain, the scorpion hides itself under the rice polythene. And then when his mother was there, so that the scorpion stings our mother. And what happens after this is that the villagers see that the scorpion has bitten this mother, and it might be possible that she has done some very bad acts, or we can say karma, in this life. And in order to repay, or we can say expiate, so in order to repay, or in order to atone herself, it was this scorpion who has beaten her. And if she is beaten in this lifetime, then the next lifetime of hers would be very good and virtuous, right? So they just pray that even if she gets killed today, even if she dies today, then it's fine, because her next life would be very good. But what happens after 20 hours? What happens? The sting gets, healed, and she is grateful. Why? Because her child was spared. After a long process, her child is spared, and she is showing a motherly love that I do not care what happened to me, I'm fine, I'm happy, because this scorpion did not sting my boy or my son. So this is a kind of understatement. What is understatement? It is a kind of literary device understatement means that you just underestimate something. So here is a whole person who is bitten by a scorpion, and we are just, underestimating this fact that that person is bitten by a scorpion, and now she's saying that it's all fine, and I'm very thankful that at least the scorpion did not bite my son. So she is just happy. So this is an understatement. So the poet's memory and the narrator child is observing everything, and there is an ironic detachment, because he says that the people of the village, the peasants, came like swarms and flies. Right? There are so many people. There was a crowd of the people, and just all were, performing different kinds of activities, and nobody was able to actually help them. So this is a kind of Indian society that here Nizam Ezekiel is showing. Here are a few important lines that you need to remember. First is, I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion, right? So this is the opening line of this poem. And may you suffering decrease the misfortunes of your next birth. As I told you that even if she gets killed, her next birth would be very good according to the peasants, okay? And my mother only said, this is the closing line, that thank God the scorpion picked on me and spared my children. So this is it. And this night of a scorpion, here the focus is on the night. That night was special because in that night my mother was, stung by a scorpion. So this is Nizam Ezekiel. So yes, there is a theme of superstition, rationalism. Okay, just remember the themes, and I hope you will read the text actually. So now here is our third poem, which is Amoretti. Now Amoretti is a sonnet, and this is a sonnet by Edmund Spenser, and this is also known as sonnet number 75. Okay, just remember this, and I hope that you have already watched our Fairy Queen video, which is on the channel, so you can go and check that video also, in which I have covered the all the books in a single video. So recently we had a question from this poem, in which we had a quotation from this poem, and this is in the collection of Amoretti 1595. Remember this, and this is a sonnet sequence. Remember this, okay? And here we have the meter, iambic, pentameter. As I told you that the modern and the most modern poetry, 80% of the time they are written in the free verse, but basically in the Renaissance poetry, there you will find a lot of iambic pentameters, and basically this is written by Edmund Spenser, and this is a Spenserian sonnet. We have three kinds of sonnet, but if we take the major one, so we have the Shakespearean sonnet and a Spenserian sonnet. So this is an example of Spenserian sonnet. Like here we have the linked rhyme scheme. So what is the rhyme scheme of Spenserian sonnet? So basically this is AB. Now you have to link it. Okay, so this is your first quatrain, means having 4 lines, a paragraph having 4 lines. So now you have to link it. Again you have to repeat this. Like this. Okay, B and the next alphabet, the next rhyme, which is BC, right? Now repeat this. So here CD. Okay, so something like this, CD. So here we have these 3 quatrains followed by a couplet, means having 2 lines which rhyme. Okay, so here we have E, because they would rhyme, so here they are the same rhyming, right? So this is the Spenserian. When we will cover the Shakespearean sonnet, I will tell you the rhyme scheme of Shakespearean sonnet also. So here we have 3 quatrains followed by a couplet. So basically in the first quatrain we have, poet writes her name on the strand. What is a strand? Is a, so strand is a beach. So here on the sands, here the poet is writing her names on the sand of the beach, and waves wash it away. So he first writes the name of the beloved, who is Elizabeth Boyle. Okay, so first he writes her name, and there comes the waves and washes that name away. Secondly, he again write it, and still the waves wash away the name. So this happens twice. So now beloved says that all things must die. Now here she is just laughing and telling the poet that all things must die, vain man, that you are a vain man. You are doing these efforts by writing my name on the sand beach, and there the waves are just get ruining the name again, and you're just wasting your time and energy, and it is all just waste. Why are you doing so? Because all things must die someday. Even my name, I will die, you will die. Even the names that you are writing, the everything, this all will die. And in the quatrain 3, the main idea is here is that the poet now argues. He says that words will immortalize her. He says that I know the nothing survives. I know that nothing survives, but still I will write your name and I will immortalize you. Means that you will forever live in the memory of the people. You will forever be in the memory of the people. I will immortalize you. How? By writing this poem, I am immortalizing you. Even Elizabeth Boyle, now she has died, but still we are remembering her. We are immortalizing her. How? Because this Edmund Spenser has written a sonnet on her. So this is how poets immortalize their beloved. So this is the thing. And in the couplet before, I hope that you know there is a volta in the sonnets. Volta means a turning point, right? A twist. So now in the volta, our love shall live and be renewed in fame. Renewed means, what is a renew? Our love shall live and renewed in fame. That is, now I have written this poetry on you. Now our love will be forever. It will be always be there, and it will renew every time, right? So this is basically the idea of Amoretti. Okay, so I hope that you will go and read the poem, right? Because without poems you cannot love literature, you cannot love poems without reading them. So that name that is written on the sand is a kind of metaphor. It is a kind of metaphor here. How? Because the name that he is writing on the sand, the name that he is writing on the sand is a kind of similar to the name that he is writing forever. So this is the metaphor, right? In the simile, we use like and as in order to compare two things, right? But in the metaphor, we do not use like and as. Okay, writing the name on the sand of his beloved, this means that he is writing the name for that he is writing the name of the beloved on the sand and in this life for the whole time, but it is getting washed away. This means that you cannot make any person mortal. Okay, so any person immortal. Okay, so this is it. So here we have the most important lines, which is one day I wrote her name upon the strand. So I hope that you will go through the text. And but came the waves and washed it away, but the waves came and washed that name away. My verse, your virtues, rare shall eternize. This means that my verse means here the poem. Okay, verse means poem. So my poem, your virtues rare, your virtues that are very rare, your goodness that is rare, you are very rare. And I will eternalize you. Eternize means I will immortalize you. You will never die. And in the heavens write your glorious name, and I will write your name in the heavens. You will never die. As long as I'm living, as long as I'm writing, you will never die. Even if I die, you will still survive in my poetry. So this is the basically idea. And yes, there is this poem by William Shakespeare, है ना? There is this poem by William Shakespeare, Sonnet 18. And here also we have similar idea in the couplet of that sonnet, that as long as man can see, as long as we are breathing, lives this, and this gives life to thee, right? Because so this is the idea, right? And this is a Renaissance poetry is very famous, right, for the love themes, for making the beloved immortal. So know these kinds of things. And there is also a theme of immortality in this poem. Okay, because he is immortalizing the beloved, right? So know this thing. Let us just move to our fourth poem. So here we have sonnet number 116. This is Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds, right? What is the name of this poem? This is Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds Admit Impediments, right? Impediments. What is impediment? Means obstruction, right? It is a kind of hindrance or obstruction. And he says that let me not to the marriage of two minds. That if there are two lovers and they have committed to each other, not just by marriage, and if they have committed to each other, let me tell them that you need not, give up when some struggle comes, when some obstruction and some impediments come in your way, because true love is not something which changes with the time. So there is a theme of constancy. This is your PYQ of UGC NET English. There is a theme of constancy, means that there is an unwavering faith. Unwavering faith means that faith that do not changes, the faith that is permanent, okay, the loyalty, okay. So yes, this is written by William Shakespeare, right? And this is written in the Elizabethan period and the Renaissance movement. And this was in the collection of Shakespeare's Sonnet 1609. And obviously, you should know about the Dark Lady of Shakespeare's poems, right? It is said that was some dark lady to whom the sonnets of Shakespeare were dedicated. And the meter is iambic pentameter, 14-line Shakespearean sonnet, 3 quatrains, 1 couplet. Let me just tell you the rhyme scheme of Shakespearean sonnets. First, A, B, right? Now you need to change A, B, A, B, A, B, C, D, and E, F. You can write like this, and G. So this is the rhyme scheme of Shakespearean sonnet. So this is the difference you should know about. Okay. Now let us just look at the exact idea in this poem. So first we have, this quatrain number 1, which is love does not alter when it finds alteration. Alterations means, alter means change. So here from the alter, there are two words that are being made, alter and this alteration. So this is a process which can be defined. There is a term, there is a literary term that is specifically used for this kind of procedure or process. So you tell me in the comment section which literary device is used here, okay, where we have a single word and two words can be formed. Okay, so you tell me. So love is something that does not change. If there is some change, if you find some change, you find some alteration and you get changed with your lover, this is not love. Does not changes, right? It is a fixed star. This is your PYQ of UGC NET English. It is a fixed star, like a north star. It is a fixed there and guides lost ship. Like if you are lost in life but your partner supports you, it is your partner who is supporting you, who is guiding you. If you are in the darkness, if your partner is guiding you, lost ships, like a pole star, like a fixed star, when there used to be no lighthouses. So it used to be this pole star who used to guide the mariners in the darkness. Okay, so similar to that, there is this love who is like a fixed that star who guides, right? And love survives time and it is not altered by rosy lips, the cheeks, the beauty. All these things gets fade with the time, right? We have an age and we always get old, right? And there is an aging factor, right? But this love survives time because there is a sickle, I hope you know, which is used by farmers, right? So this reaper, the sickle that a reaper uses, so similarly this sickle always attacks the age, life, beauty, right? And also we can say time. So this sickle, there is a theme of memento mori here. What is memento mori? Means that we all die, right? The death is coming, we all die. So there is memento mori, that yes, this moment you can die. So this is memento mori. So love survives time because love is not a time's fool. Love is not a time's fool, and love always survives. Like there used to be fools used to entertain the kings. We know in the Renaissance, in the dramas, we have fools, Shakespeare's fools. They always, entertain the kings. Similar to that, the love is not like a fool of the time. If there is no time, if there is no life, if there is no, life, then the love will disappear. It does not happen. It is always immortal. And in the couplet, there is, if this be error, poet stakes his writing on it. This is the last line, very famous line, that if the things that I have said, all the things that I have said, the arguments that I have laid, if all these things are, false, if all these things are false, then if this be an error, then the writing that I have written, all the poems that I have written till now, all the sonnets that I have written till now, they are all waste, right? So this is the idea here. So when it comes to the important lines, so here we have, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. So this is the opening line of this sonnet. And love is not love which alters when it alteration finds. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come, which means that the time, this time has a sickle, bending sickle, that is used by a reaper or a farmer. So this time what he does, this sickle always, ends, this ends the life of the people, the rosy cheeks, the beauty, the age, everything dies in the bending sickle of this time. But love is not something like this. It is always immortal. When this is immortal, when if your love does not alter with the time, if you have some constancy, you have some unwavering faith and loyalty, then this means that your love is not time's fool. So this is the main idea and the main message. So now we have the Wasteland. Now Wasteland is written by our T.S. Eliot, and Wasteland, one of the, we can say, magnum opus of our T.S. Eliot modern poetry, which shows the shell-shockedness, or we can say the trauma of post-World War first generation. It is the time of post-World War first, where the people felt that there is no truth, there is no single truth, there is no, linearity in the word that is left. There are no rules. Everything is deconstructed, right? We have read in the theory, literary theory, that things are deconstructed now. So similar to that, there is always, chaos all around. There is a chaotic situation, fragmented lives of the people, right? So basically the wasteland is full of the wasteland. Everything is wasted here, right? So this is basically the modernism which is there. And in 1922 it got published, and in 1922 there was a novel James Joyce, which was Ulysses, which was also published. You should remember this fact, right? And this was published in Poems 1909 to 1925, and this was dedicated to Ezra Pound, Il Miglior Fabbro. This means the better craftsman. This means better crafts. Now, why he has dedicated this poem to Ezra Pound? Because this poem was, when this poem was written, it was very big, and there was some improvement on the part of this poem that Ezra Pound had to do. So he made this poem short and improved a few things in this poem, and that is why he says that the better craftsmanship, and he dedicated this poem to Ezra Pound, who is also our imagist poet, as I told you before, right? So here we have 5 sections in this poem. You have to remember all the names, right? They can be asked, or they can ask you to arrange them in the chronology. So the burial of the dead, then we have a game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. So the burial of the dead, what happens is, this first part is that it starts from the April is the cruelest month. Now in England, April is a very happy month. Nature is happy and people are going to the pilgrimage. We have in this Canterbury Tales, the Chaucer's Canterbury Tale, in which in April, what happens is that the pilgrims are going to the Thomas Becket's shrine. Now, what happens is that in the wasteland, because there is this world war and thousands of people died in world war, the property was, ruined, the people were ruined, there is barren age all around, there are no thoughts, there is no creativity, because if there is war all around, then you cannot write anything, because you just need food, you just need to survive in that, and in that situation you cannot write a good poetry. You cannot do any creative work, you cannot make sense of this world, and because of that there is a spiritual barrenness also. Spiritual barrenness means that people are no longer believing in the religion, because they think that in the world war lots of people died, we were praying to the god, but still lots of people died, no god came to save us. So people were moving away from the religion, and spiritually they were empty, they were barren, right? And this April imagery, as I told you, so April is a month which is full of happiness, but here April is the cruelest month, which is the opening of this poem, and also the PYQ of UGC NET English. Why is it is cruel? Because April is a time of spring. So when the world war, the people who are affected by this world war, when they remember the April, when they remember that springtime, they feel very nostalgic, we can say, because they want to go back to the old happy days, but they cannot. So this is a kind of giving them pain, because this give them remembrance of their past happy days. So for them this is the cruelest, because this, pain gets on the surface. So in the burial of the dead, what happens is that there is this Hyacinth girl who just wants to love our speaker, but our speaker is not able to, reciprocate her love, because he is numb, he's emotionally numb, he cannot make sense of anything romantic. And there is also this, so Sautris madam is a woman who uses tarot decks in order to tell the fortunes of the people. So in her tarot deck there is a card which is of Christ, which is not available. And also a game of chess. What happens is game of chess. There are failed relationships and holo talk. Failed relationships means that there are two people, a boy and a girl, who are not able to make the sense of each other. They want to talk, they want to have a communication, but there is a communication gap between the two. And she says that listen to me, just think, talk to me. And the boy is not telling her anything. He's just not speaking, because there is a spiritual numbness, there is a emotional gap between the people. They are just doing the ordinary things, and they are not able to understand the psychology of the person with whom they are living. Right, so the relationships are getting failed. There's a hollow talk. Like Ophelia, the girl is saying bye, 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 bye. If you read the poem, you will read such lines. So this is the thing. And in a game of chess, what happens is that there is a girl. So like Rape of the Lock, we have Belinda, who is sitting on the throne and just, is enjoying all the materialistic things. So similar to that, there is a girl who is sitting on the chair, and her chair is like a throne, right? And she's just sitting and smelling the perfumes, and the flames are getting up, and she's happy. And there is terraces, that same terraces that we discussed in the Oedipus Rex by Sophocles in our drama video. So Tiresias is a person who has lived all these lives. He has experienced the women, the men, every gender, and he has seen the people of all the generation. And he says that people are same in all the ages, right? I have seen all the times, and people are always the same. We always have the same problems. We always have the same mindset. We always have the same next generation, who we think that the next generation is doomed. So we always think that the next generation is doomed, but all generations are doomed. So this series is observing, and there is a Cupid on the walls. They are observing that how this girl is just getting ready, right? And what happens is that there is this boy who is coming, who is the clerk boy, and there's the typist girl also. So the typist girl is coming from the office, and then there is her boyfriend who is coming, and she's having food at the dinner. And after having the food, she's getting ready because her boyfriend is coming, and they would make love. But they when they end making love, they do not know each other, they're like strangers. And the boy just went, he just go to his place, and she is like, finally I'm done and I'm fine, thank god it's over. So there is no emotional bonding between the people, there is no genuine bonding. It's more like a situationship that we see nowadays. That's all empty, and that's all cheap. So the relationships are failed, there is a hollow talk, and there is lust all around. And also there is an incident. Well, I'm not here telling you to just stick to a specific section, because we have many characters in this poem, many events. So this poem is like a drama. We have different acts and scenes, not in a literal sense, but there are different scenes, different characters, different stories. And because we are here, TS a lot is showing you the wasteland, and this land includes so many people. So there are so many stories. So there is a woman in the pub, and there is her husband who is in the army. So that husband is coming after the duty, after the years, and now is coming back to his home. And there is this friend of this woman who suggests her to go and get your teeth checked, because your husband is coming, and if you do not look beautiful, then what's the use of your young days. And she is getting abortion pills, and because of those pills she is having dull appearance. And those pills are affecting her mentally and physically as well. She does not have any option. So her friend is recommending her to just go and look beautiful, otherwise your husband will leave you, other women will talk to him, this and that. So there is lust all around, there is no theme of constancy, we can say. And in the fire sermon we have Thames River and terraces, as I told you. Thames River, on the Thames River we used to have the Elizabethan queen and her, Earl of Leicester. And it is said that Queen Elizabeth had an affair with the Earl of Leicester. So on the Thames River, they used to come and spend some time there in the boat, right? But they did not marry. Similarly, even now, the people who come at the Thames River, they spend their time romantically, but they are not committed to each other, right? Then there is death by water. Here we have Phlebas. He is the drowned sailor, and it is a kind of warning. How? This sailor used to have different, trading thing. This sailor used to have different trading activities, and he used to have money, materialistic things, and coins. But now, since he has done something bad in his life, now he is dying. So the Phlebas is dying by, sinking in the water. So as the waves come, he gets uplifted and he remembers everything. He gets remember everything. So this is Phlebas is a kind of warning to all the people that you will die too. This is not just the story of this Phlebas who is dying. You will also die. You will also have to suffer the things that you are doing in this lifetime. Then we have what the thunder said. Give, sympathize, and control. Basically, but the thunder said here, the solution has been given that in order to make this wasteland green again, or make this wasteland, a good land again, what we need to do, we need to be spiritual. So he here uses the Hindu Upanishads. So from here he gives da, which is datta, dayadhvam, and damyat. Datta means to give, right? The people should learn to give. We always take, we people always have a tendency to take the things. We always take somebody's energy, somebody's effort, somebody's works, right? But we never acknowledge the person, we never give selflessly, we are selfish. So we should learn to give. We should be able to sympathize, means that even if there is some people who are making some mistakes, we should forgive them. We should be sympathetic enough that we are not perfect, right? And we should forgive the things. We should Control is very important in life. Control is something that we need in this modern world, because we have temporary gratifications, immediate pleasures in this generation, in this culture that we are living in right now. We have, the people who just follow immediate pleasures. For instance, we have reels and shorts. Now what they give is that they give you content in a very short span of time, just like 60 seconds or 3 minutes. Here people do not prefer the long videos, they prefer the short videos. Why? Because they do not have time. They want immediate gratification, immediate pleasure, immediate, productivity. So we should control those earnings. We should control our earnings, our lust, how we feel about the world, and why we always, try to fulfill all our desires. We should control ourselves. So these are the three lessons that Eliot is giving. And also there are the resurrection of Jesus Christ in this stanza also. So this is just a revision video, so I cannot go into the detail of this poem. So I will make a separate video on all of these poems someday. So let us just not extend this poem, because we have more poems also. So this is the wasteland. Here are some of the important lines. This is the April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land. So you cannot get lilacs or flowers out of the dead land, okay, because the land is barren and infertile. I will show you fear in a handful of dust. Very famous line. These two lines you need to remember. Handful of dust. This means that I will show you fear in handful of dust. Handful of dust means that the importance of a man's life is very short. It can be in a hand, that your life does not matter. These fragments I have shot against my ruins. Fragments are what? Whatever the poet is left with. He is left with history, polity, he is left with literary allusions, he is left with myths. So whatever he is left with, I have shot against my ruins. I just am left with these things and I have lost those things. right? So this is the main idea. So yes, in order to do this poem, you need to know that there is a fragmentation in the poem, because if you read the poem, you will see that it is very hard to make the sense of this poem, because the language is very complex. You need a dictionary with yourself. There's a fragmented lines. The thoughts are fragmented. You cannot make sense of these sentences. So there is a fragmentation, stream of consciousness that is used. You will not know that either the poet is saying something or just thinking. There is a conflict. And there is also intertextuality. What is intertextuality? Intertextuality means that there is reference to the other books, other plays, dramas, novels. Here there is a reference to the restoration comedies, there is reference to the Chaucer, there is reference to the plays of Shakespeare, which is the Tempest, right? So here we have the intertextuality, the reference to the other text. Okay, so this is it. And there are various literary devices as well. So yeah, so just remember all the 5 sections, right? Remember the publishing date, remember the main ideas, main key themes, and the fragmentation and all, and the important good lines, right? So I'm showing you the important lines, but you need to go into the detail of these works, right? Please go into the detail and do some research on your own, so that you can, you know, get an edge, right? Because these are the competitive examinations and you really need to have an edge. Okay, so now we have the second coming. Now the second coming is written by W.B. Yeats. Please remember all the important poems of W.B. Yeats, because they always ask the poems of W.B. Yeats, right? W.B. Yeats and W.H. Auden, very important, right? If you're doing the poetry and you're leaving these two writers, then it is your blunder, right? Now this belongs to modernism, and yes, there is a symbolism that is used in the poems of W.B. Yeats a lot. W.B. Yeats is a myth maker. He's a myth maker. He uses myths a lot, and also he uses lots of symbolism, right? Please remember this fact. Please remember these facts. Now the collection is Michael Robertus and the Dance for 1921. This is the name of this collection in which this poem was published, and this was published in 1919. Okay, and the meter is of course free verse. Modern hai free verse hoga. Two stanzas, 8 and 40. Now let us talk about the summary. So here we have falcon cannot hear the falconer. Falcon cannot hear the falconer. This means that falcon, we can say the humanity cannot hear the falconer, which means the god. So what is the main idea here is that turning in the widening gyre. This means that we are turning like a gyre. Here, gyre theory. There is a theory of blue beads, which is gyre theory. According to this theory, history gets repeated. Basically, after every 2000 years, there is a birth, right? First, there is a birth of Jesus Christ, then there is a birth of some monster. So now there was a birth of Jesus Christ, right? But now is the time that there would be a birth of some monster, right? So this is the second coming of that monster. So this is known as gyre theory, that we always like a gyre, like a spiral. We are always moving like in this and upward motion, right? So this is the gyre theory of W.B. Yeats. Here what is happening is that in this modern world, we are not able to stick to the religion, stick to the spiritual things, stick to the truth, stick to the principles. So we are not sticking to any of the things. So we are not listening to the god. Falcon is not hearing the falconer, right? There is chaos all around and things fall apart. Things are falling apart. Things fall apart. There is this novel by this name, which is written by African writer Chinua Achebe also, right? So things are falling apart. There is chaos all around. Mere anarchy is loosened. There is anarchy all around, right? People are fighting with each other. They are killing each other, and there is no peace. Then the vision spins like beast slouches towards Bethlehem, new dark age. Now there is a sphinx-like beast. There is a beast who is, a lion, who is having a lion body and a head of a human. So like this, there is a monster who is coming in a desert. right? Basically, the main idea here is that now it is the time that not the Christ, but there would be a monster who will come, right? And this revelation, the revelation of a monster, and people are fearful of that monster. And there is a desert, and in that desert, that monster appears, and there are bats and birds who are flying around that monster, right? So this is basically the second coming. Okay, so please read this poem. This is very important. Now here are some of the important lines. Things fall apart and the center cannot hold. Center is not able to hold the values, principles, religion, truth, linearity. The best lack all conviction while the worst are full of passionate intensity. This means that this is the age where the best, the people who are full of wisdom and intelligence, they does not have conviction. They are not having confidence, they are not saying anything, they're just silent. You know na, the silence of a saint, the silence of an intelligent person does more harm than a stupid person who is speaking a lot, right? So the people who have lots of intelligence and wisdom, they are not having confidence, they are not speaking at all. But the worst people who are foolish and stupid, they're full of passionate intensity, they're just speaking a lot, they're just setting the rules, they're making the policies, and they are, doing the things their own way. Then there is this line which is and what rough beast, its hour come around at last. Slouchest was Bethlehem to be born. He is going to the Bethlehem, is the place where the Christ was born, but now it is not the Christ who is coming, but these are Sphinx, or we can say the monster. Okay, so this is the second coming. There are various, imageries that are being used in this poem. The various imageries, symbols, we have theories, we have allusions to the Bible, right? So please read this poem. Okay, so this is all about this second coming, right? Let us just move to our another. Church Going is by Philip Larkin, right? And this is from the movement group, right? The movement group 1950s British poetry का ये group था, ठीक है? They were against the sentimental language of the previous writers. So the movement poets were the people who were anti-romantic. They were anti-romantic, skeptic, and more realistic in their approach. They used to talk about the realities. So here is this speaker who is talking the reality, who is talking about the reality that I am somebody who is spiritually, I am very secular. I do not believe in just one God, in just one religion, right? I do not believe in such things. So I will only pray when I want to. So this is church going. So here in stanza 1, we see the poet is entering into some church. He sees that there is nobody all around in the church, and the church is empty because he is very introvert. So he just went to the church, right? And speaker visits empty church like a casual and irreverent tone. He is not respecting the God. He's just observing the things and looking at the books, at the brass, objects, at the flowers, at the Bible, and all those things. He's just looking at the things. Then he's questioning, wonders what will happen when belief dies. So he knows that the church is being built, and there are a few people and there are people like me who does not believe in the God at all. So what will happen if the building of this church gets ruined? If some building gets destroyed, then the remains and the ruins of that building is only what we are left with, right? And then those places becomes, either they become haunted, or they become like a tool of observation for the people who are interested in the historical buildings, right? Who used to jot down the points about the history of that building. If there is some excavations, if there is some evidence, so only those people are interested in the ruined buildings, still drawn to churches. This means that there are people who are still drawn to churches, because churches are the place where there is an announcement of death, there are announcement of births, there are announcements of marriages. So because of these things, church is important, right? People are still drawn to churches because church announces all these things. And also church is a place which is very serious. This is a serious thing on this serious land. This is how he says that church is something which is still having the power in order to, guide us, in order to support us. If we are spiritually empty, we should go to some temple, we should go to some church, we should go to some religious place, right, in order to heal ourselves, in order to get the energy, in order to get the energy back. A serious house on serious earth, right? This is the final line. This is the serious house on a serious earth, right? And he, at first, he was not willing to come to this church, but later on he realizes that because he is kind of feeling some pull, some spiritual pull towards the church by leaving the bicycle out. And yes, you should know that the collection is the last deceived 1955. Now this is a PYQ, right, that in which collection church going was published, and it was published in 1955. And here the meter is 9 stanzas of 9 lines, right, rough iambic pentameter with variations. Okay, and here you should also know that there is a theme of secular spirituality. Now this is statement based, your PYQ of UGC NET English. Okay, and the tone of the speaker here is ironic because he does not believe in the religion, right, but still he is just standing there and observing the things, and he is using irony a lot because when he goes to the lecture stand and he just delivers some sermons and he just then says that thank God it has ended now, right, but later he feels that yes, this is some place which attracted me a lot, so that is why I came into this church. So he's just basically sharing his experience when he went to the church, right? And once I'm sure that there is nothing going on, I stepped inside. This is the opening line of this poem. Hatless, I take off my cycle clips in awkward reference, and he goes to the church. A serious house on serious earth it is, right? As I told you about this, right? So because there is always, a search of meaning. Why people will still go to the religious places even in the modern times? Because we all search for meaning. This is a universal problem. This is a problem we all faces, that we always have existential crisis. We always want to have the meaning of things, and the only meaning is the, you know authority, the supreme, the God who has made this world. That is the only person who can give you some meaning, can make you realize how you feel, why you live. So questions like that. Okay, so this is, a kind of dramatic monologue. Okay, I hope that you will go into the detail of these poems. So this is like a dramatic monologue, right? So just remember this fact and these PYQs, right? So yeah. So here we have another poem which is Daddy. Now this Daddy is a poem that is written by Sylvia Plath, who is an American writer, right? American poet, and she belongs to the confessional poetry movement, right? Along with Annie Sexton and Robert Lowell. She belongs to this. And in India, we have Kamala Das, right? Who belongs to this confessional poetry. Okay, so this is in the collection of Ariel, which is published posthumously, right? And meter mein we have 16 stanzas of 5 line irregular and incanatory rhythm. Sylvia Plath is basically, confessing that how he used to hate his dad, he used to hate his husband, right? And she just resurrected both of them through this poem and just killed them, we can say metaphorically. Okay, the black shoe. Poet is trapped like a foot in a black shoe. Father's domination. She says that you do not do. This is the opening line of this poem. She says that I have lived my whole life in the shoe of yours, the black shoe. So like in a black shoe we have the foot, so like a foot I was living in this shoes, like means that it was the father's domination, father's strictness that was there, and that domination has, taken the innocence, the childhood innocence of that girl. She also says that her father is like a Nazi, like a Hitler, and she describes herself as a Jew because there was an enemy, there was, a kind of conflict between the Nazi and Jew, and there is still maybe. So Hitler was of Nazi, and what he did, he killed so many Jews, he killed so many Jews, and his father is like this Nazi who is very strict, who is very angry, who is very dominating personality, and she is, the Sylvia is like a Jew. She is facing all the exploitation, all the, atrocities of this Nazi that they are doing to the Jews. So there is a kind of relation of oppressor and victim here. The father is the oppressor and she is the victim. Attempt to die. She says that poet tried to get back to father by dying. She says that My father died when I was 8. At 20, I tried to commit suicide, but I could not die. Then she tries it again. She tried to commit suicide twice in her life. And when this poem was published, it was published after the 4 months of her death. You should know this thing, right? After writing this poem, after 4 months, she dies by committing suicide. She just puts her head into an oven. If you read the biography of Sylvia Plath, you will know. And her husband was Tad Hughes, and it is said that Tad Hughes was having an extramarital affair with a woman, and when she gets to know about that, and because she was having a trauma from her father, also from her husband now, so she committed the suicide. And her brother also dies, her father and mother also dies, so her life was very sad, we would say. In these 14th 16th stanza, we have liberation. Husband is now described as a vampire. She says that, for 7 years again, now you are replaced by a vampire. First my father used to dominate me, and now she is married for 6 7 years. So she says that now there is a vampire at your place. That vampire is, this person, and I will just, kill that vampire also. I will just, kill that vampire by attacking at the heart of that vampire, right? By a knife. Daddy, you bastard, I am through. So this is her anger. If you read the poem, you will see a lot of repetitions of the word daddy, I am through and through, you're bastard, and achu, achu, achu. So words are like these, right? So words like these are getting repeated in the poem because there is a, she calls her father as a Pollock, she calls her father as some Metcalfe, and there is a symbol of swastika, is basically a symbol of the Nazi party. Okay, so she compares her father to the Nazi with the Hitler, right? So this is the daddy poem, and I also recommend you reading her other poems like Lady Lazarus and Ariel, and also remember her novel The Bells Are. Okay, so yeah. Now, the Nazi imagery as extended metaphor, because there is this metaphor, but this has extended a lot because it becomes almost the central idea of this poem. So this is extended metaphor here. Okay, and the important lines are, you do not do any more black shoe, every woman adores a faces. Here she says that every woman loves a dominant man. Here she says the irony of the womanhood, that there are a few women who loves the faces people, the dominant people, right? But I am not a weak lady, I am not like them. I have self confidence, I am a very powerful woman, and I will, I will talk and I will oppose you. Lady, you bastard, and I am through. And by resurrecting the father and the husband, she makes them live again in the poem, and then she kills them again in the poem at the last. So this is why she says that I'm through, I'm done with you, right? So yes. So yes, we should know that there is a father and daughter trauma also, and it is said that there is also Electra complex in this poem. What is Electra complex? We have Oedipus complex, and there is Electra complex between the father and a daughter, right? So you have to remember this also, right? So there are lots of imageries in this poem that you need to remember, and lots of alliteration, and anaphora is the repetition of the words, that is anaphora. Okay, so there are lots of anaphora also, right? So yes, so now we have Tintern Abbey. Now I have included this poem because this is very important, written by William Wordsworth in the Romantic age, and this was published in the Lyrical Ballad 1798, right? This is an unofficial manifesto of Romantic age, and this was with the Coleridge that he has written, and meter hai yahan pe blank words, unrhymed iambic pentameter. Okay, so remember this date, and I would tell you that if you are reading Wordsworth, then please go through the points, the ideas, the concepts of William Wordsworth that he has given in the lyrical ballads, right? I have covered the lyrical ballads in my criticism videos, so you can go and check that playlist also. In the lines, first he talks about the return to the sea. So you tell me in the comment section what is the full subtitle of this poem. There is a river Wye. Okay, this is the name of the river. So he is just going to this place after 5 years again. 5 years have passed, and Wordsworth is revisiting that river, and on that river there is a place that is Tintern Abbey. Okay, so if you will Google the Tintern Abbey, you will see that there is a very beautiful, scenery there. This is Tintern Abbey. Google Tintern Abbey. You will love the scenery. So here he's returning to that place and he says that 5 long nights have passed, 5 long days have passed, and now I'm still again here, and I'm just happy that I'm here. And there are gifts of memory. Nature's images gave him moral strength in city. He says that when I was in the city, when I was working there, so I always used to have, recollections, used to always remember the sceneries of this Tintern Abbey. This always gave me happiness. So while I was doing my work, I was busy with the materialistic words. So this was some memory that always gave me happiness internally. Right? 3 stages of nature. He says that child, youth, and mature man relation with the nature. He says that I was once a child, and like a child, I used to play with the nature. Yes, I enjoyed the nature, but I did not take that much heat, or because I did not pay that much attention to the nature for nature's sake. I just used to, like a deer, I would just play all around. I will just enjoy in the nature, but I never, looked at nature the way I'm looking at it now. In the youth, the nature is now, it's a kind of visual pleasure, or it's like a more of a aesthetic thing for us, because now we look at nature aesthetically. Oh, nature is beautiful, and yes, there is this rainbow, I have to take some photos and I have to post it on Instagram or something. So we are taking it as an aesthetic thing. We are not adoring it for the nature's sake. We are just looking at the sceneries, looking at the flowers, beauty, river, trees, and just feeling good. So because this is appealing us visually. But a mature man relationship with nature, mature man makes a relation with the nature. He does not look at the nature for because that is beautiful. He just lives in the nature. He is present there, and he knows that that I have to learn from nature. Nature is like a guide. Nature is like a mentor. Nature is a nurse. The idea of nurse is in the ode of intimations of immortality, the great ode, right? So for him, nature is now everything. He says that I am not having any regrets that I went there in the city and I was not in the connection with the nature, but I have no regrets because those things made me learn something, those gave me lessons. And now I have learned a lot of things in life. Now I am sad, I have people all around, I have some relations, I have some burdens, and now I realize the actual importance of this nature, right? So he says that this is a blessing in disguise, because only if you're sad you will realize the importance of happiness. This is a blessing in disguise. So now he adores nature the more. Then we have address to Dorothy. Is Dorothy Wordsworth is the sister of our Wordsworth, and poet turns to the sister. Her sister, his sister, is also standing with him there on the Tintern Abbey, and he says to her that, like today, that I'm standing here and I'm just remembering everything. Similarly, you will be also standing here one day, right? And you will remember everything. And even if I die, you will remember, and through you, I will also remember, right? That you and me will always immortalize the nature and all the things that are here. So, this is Tintern Abbey. I recommend you reading this poem. Please go and read this, because the language is easy, of course. You can read it in a single sitting and you will love it. If you have not read any of Wordsworth's poem yet, I do highly suggest you to read these poems. Right? Your thinking will change. If you are a worldly person, if you believe in materialistic things, then I think maybe your bent of mind will somewhat shift. Okay, let us just look at the other things. So first we have sports of time. What is the sports of time? Now this is a concept that is linked to Tintern Abbey, but this concept is mainly in the prelude. It is a kind of autobiographical poem of our Wordsworth. Okay, so for net point of view, you have to do the ode on intimations of immortality, or we can say the great ode, Tintern Abbey, and also prelude. These three poems are very important for this UGC NET. And also this word is too much with us, that poem by Wordsworth. Okay, and also the lyrical ballads. So sports of time means that there are some memories. Sports of time. There are some memories which has to be cherished and which we always remember. Just imagine that you visited some place years ago, but you still remember that experience. You still feel happy by, experience by that memory. So that is a sport of time. Okay. Now this ode is compared with ode intimations of immortality. This is your PYQs. Okay. There are three stages of man's relation to nature, as I told you: the child ones, the youth ones, and the mature ones. Pantheism is a concept that is given by William Wordsworth, and pantheism means that there is a god in nature. Pantheism, very important concept. Pantheism means that there is a single unifying, we can say, power, spirit, or a single unifying energy that is, combining all of us, and that is the god. We have to look at the nature, and the nature is full of spirits and the god. That is pantheism. Okay. This is a first line, opening line. 5 years have passed, 5 summers, with the length of 5 long winters. A presence that disturbs me with joy of elevated thoughts. So this is the presence of all these beautiful thoughts, and this gives me sublimity. I just lift, right? Sublimity. I told you on the sublime by Longinus in my criticism video also. Then nature never did betray the heart that loved her. This means that nature never betrays us. So if you love nature, if you spend your time in the nature, and if nature heals you, nature never betrays us. Nature always teaches good lessons. Nature always guides us. Nature is never biased. Nature is never prejudiced. Right? So this is the main idea of Tintern Abbey. So there are also literary devices like apostrophe that are used in this poem, where he says, "O Sylvan Voy," right? So O, that is, a calling. So that is apostrophe. For instance, we have O West Wind, O Wild West Wind. Okay, written by P.B. Shelley. So this apostrophe to call somebody who is not present there. So here we have our last poem, which is Ulysses. Now I have included this poem in the last because this will give you a good motivation, right, for your examination. How? Let us see. This is written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, the Victorian poet, and published in 1840. Collection hai poems 1842 and meter hai blank words. Okay, so these are the three parts. So first we have Ulysses on Ithaca. Who is Ulysses? Was a person in the Homer's Odyssey. Okay, he was fighting the Trojan War. Okay, so this is the character who was fighting the Trojan War in the Homer's, right? So now Ulysses has came back to home. In the Ithaca is the home of Ulysses. Now he is at the home and he is not fighting anymore, but he is bored, because he is bored with the static kinship. He has wife, he has a son who is Telemachus, right? He has a son, he has a wife, he has some friends there, but he is bored because after the retirement, when we do not have any job, we feel bored, like what should we do now? So his wife is old, his people are dull, because these are the races, they are wild. They're the people who do not understand anything. They does not have any enthusiasm or zeal for life. They does not have any energy. So he says that people are so dull. Why should I educate them? I should rather focus on my adventures. I should go on the adventures. I should go on the wars, right? Then there is Telemachus, who is the son of our Ulysses, and his son is very fit to rule. He says that my son is very good and he can rule and he can be made the king. He is very religious and he does the worship, and he is very practical and dutiful. So yes, I will make him the king, right? And I will myself go on the adventures again, and I will not come back to the home. So there is famous closing speech here, and he addresses the mariners to strive to seek and to find. This means that here he tells all of the mariners and their colleagues and his friends that no, we would not be here anymore, and we will not just sleep here, and we will just go to another adventure, right? Just go and get into the ship, and we will go to the another adventure, and let us just go to the port directly, right? So this is basically the idea of Ulysses. And Ulysses means that a kind of person who is very enthusiastic, who is always open, who is always eager to take risks, who is always ready to, do something very great. And he says to his mariners that though we know that we are old, we are in an old age, and it might be possible that some wave will affect us, some wave will, make us sink to the bottom of the ocean. We can die, but still I want to live the moment. I want to live the moment, and I will not die cowardly. Right? So this is the Ulysses. And you should know that yes, this is in the form of dramatic monologue, and here I am a part of all that I have met. This means that I have had multiple medals. I have had multiple names. I was very famous when I used to fight, and I have faced different things in life. I have faced failures also. So I am a part of all that I have met. The things that I have experienced, I still have the learnings from them. So they have all made my personality in such a way. How dull it is to pause and to make an end. Like how dull it is just to pause and just live at your home and doing nothing and just eating and to making an end, just being hand to mouth. It is so boring. We should do some adventure in life, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Like Saturn, he says that I will not yield, I will not give up. Right? Saturn, he says the field never to be yield, never to yield. Right? So we would strive, we would make some efforts, we would see some new land, right? We would find and explore some new places, and we will not give up. Right? So these are the lines from Ulysses. Right? So remember this also. So yeah, this is all about these poems, and I hope that you go through the text of these poems and important poetic devices and lines, and please listen that I have already made the detailed lectures on Canterbury Tales and on Fairy Queen, right? Also on the John Donne. We also have the Gawain and the Green Knight, right? And all the works of Chaucer. And not only this, I have also covered the Paradise Lost, right? So you really need to go through all these poems, because these are very important. These are the epics, mostly they are the epics, and they are always asked in the examination. So go through them. And yes, I have one more thing for you. Here we have this. So yes, here we have a new announcement for you. You can buy our notes, which is on the linguistics and the culture studies. So in linguistics, you will get 100 plus MCQs with PYQs, and we have covered the latest topics as well, the phonetics, the semantics, the morphology, right? So all these branches you will get. Yeah, right? You can read these points. And also you can have our culture studies notes, in which we have covered 15 themes and 74 critics. Yes, more than enough for your UGC NET exam, right? And 60 plus PYQs are covered along with the section, like section wise you will have them, right? So yes, this is the, and I'm telling you, these are the most organized notes that we have made. And if you buy them in a combo, then you will get them in 499. But if you want to get them separately, or maybe just one unit, so linguistics ones have a price of 249, and the culture studies have a price of 299. Okay, and you can also get our history notes, history of English literature capsule notes, at just 99 rupees. The history and also the questions, the chronology, right? And yes, in these books we have also covered the chronology part as well. So you can WhatsApp at this number in order to buy them. Yes, you will get the soft copy. You will get the soft copy within seconds after the payment. So there would be no problem of waiting for the days in order to get them delivered, right? You will get them within seconds or within a minute, right? So yes, this is all about this, and all the best, and thank you.